Business failure rate statistics are often quoted as a compelling lie, if not anything else, in the business world today. And I'm here to actually show you that this is completely untrue. You've no doubt heard the saying that 80% of businesses will fail within the first 5 years. You've been hearing that at talks and seminars and off business coaches on a regular basis. Today, I'm going to say to you that this is simply not true. So hear me out. I'm going to reveal to you the real statistics, which may surprise quite some of you, and how things are actually measured and how they're mismeasured. This is David Newton speaking. Let's get straight into it. And a quick word of warning, today's video report is going to be about as nerdy as I possibly can get. So stick with me right through to the end, because I'm going to cover a lot of different case points so that you get the full picture, according to my point of view as well, of how business failure rates can be overextended and over-exemplified. Now, one of the most persistent stories in the business world is the one about business survival rates. Sadly, it's a story that in itself is an annoying one, with new business people willing to start an enterprise who may fall prey to the thought that, oh well, if I fail, I'm just one of the 90% due to fail. And so it goes. This is actually a dangerous assumption because it's based upon the dangerous myth that's been pervading. And so it goes. However, nothing could be further than the truth than the matter about business. Real business rates of failure are astonishingly low. Firstly, we have to look at what constitutes a business these days. And in the world of business, especially small business, changing all the time. And secondly, what constitutes failure. So, firstly, there is no official register of business startups. Yes, there's a register of business names, trademarks, company names, and so forth, but no realistic way of deciding what is a new business starting. There's no such register that exists. And when you buy an established business, usually an established business is purchased by another operator who already has an existing business, they will choose to usually, maybe not always, incorporate that business into their own existing structure. So therefore, when they drop that business into their own company, they'll let the other previous registrations automatically lapse. And one needs to also question what actually constitutes the reason for people registering a business name and maybe registering a company, and for what specific reasons behind those registrations. Let's take a quick look at why businesses actually close or exit. And the reasons are varied, or even why some of them created a particular business or entity in the first place. And let's just read off just a very quick list. Retirement is probably one. It can be letting the business name lapse. It can also be to restructure the business. It could be a business buy. It could also be because there was a particular specific product attached to that particular company or company name, or an asset attached purely to one company asset. It can be also because of way of a different entity logistics that may be related to that particular business, or jurisdiction even. Some people set up a different company for each different state within Australia that they're operating their business in. It could be for tax structuring. It could be for family law structuring. So you might have several entities that are in your name. You might have several entities in the business's name, or once again related to different parts of your family, so that transfer of assets and so forth might be due to company and trust structures. It could also be that there was no trading history at all, that you wanted to register that business name merely to squat on the particular trading name or company name so that nobody else would get it. And you could be also having a holding company. holding company in order to work out other different asset purchases or other different needs. There could be also a company breakup strategy. You've purchased a very large particular company, maybe a public company, and you want to break it up into smaller privately owned assets. So you're parking those different ways there. It could also be a single-use entity structure just purely for one particular purpose, and then maybe say at the end of the year you're going to close that company down. So these are all the different reasons why people either create different structures or maybe close different structures. What constitutes an actual business failure? One recognised definition would be that of businesses closing with actual debts in tow. And even then, one needs to look at these statistics with a cautionary eye. You need to ask, was the business forced to fail? Did the business owner fail to hide another problem? And did the personal bankruptcy follow the business exit? And business bankruptcies, in fact, are much lower than you think, even with a bad economy. In fact, it was quoted that in the 2020-2021 pandemic that the bankruptcies were at historic lows. Now, as an example, I'd like you to have a look at the chart in front of you right now about business failures. Now, this shows a few interesting facts. If we go back here to the 1990 business collapse time period that happened when Keating said the recession we had to have, business failure rates were running at around 2.5%, and then later that dropped to a very big low in the late 90s, down to just under 1%. In around the time that we had the GFC, the global financial meltdown in 2008, that went right back up to 1.5%, and then that has drifted from that time period down to 2020 to somewhere between 0.5 to 1%. So we're looking here, and this is of the companies that have gone down. If we look here at the unincorporated businesses, that was fairly low there from the 1990, had risen up a little bit gradually to the GFC time period, but yet again has dropped down to below 0.5% and possibly lower there again. So that gives you some kind of an idea of where we're looking at with the business failure rate statistics at the moment. And just so you know where these statistics come from, this is from the Reserve Bank's own data on their website. So you can have a look at these stats very closely yourself. Now, despite what you think, and yes, I'm quoting from historical statistics here, but this is a pretty good example of how things are and how you can look at the information on an ongoing basis. Very few small businesses fail. Over a 2-year period, and I'm quoting here from the 1994 to 1996, there was an average here of 20,200 small businesses, or 6.1%, ceased trading in Australia. And of that figure, less than 10% of these would be classed as or made to be known as catastrophic failures. So we're looking there at a very small proportion of those businesses, less than 10%. So out of 23,000, you're looking at maybe, say, 2,000 businesses would be classed as catastrophic failure, right? And another way of looking at this too is looking at, and once again, this is historical details, Vida Advantage, which was one of the leading datas on debt collection and credit information, on their own website had stats of 1.5% businesses closed during the 2006-2007 time period. And of that, according to Vita, less than 0.5% of that businesses close each year with known as catastrophic business failure. So, like I said before, it's worthwhile having a closer look at these stats and not get involved in the hype. Here's yet again another set of statistics that's well worthwhile looking at. I've just taken here a 10-year snapshot of business bankruptcies in Australia, just to have a look at as a proper form of comparison. Now, once again, I do want to say that business bankruptcies needs to be skewed with what type of bankruptcy, whether the business was forced into bankruptcy or let go or myriad of other different reasons. So you do need to look at these stats. However, they are relatively low. We're looking here at business bankruptcies here, which is on the Trading Economics website. So just to give you a bit of an idea, you can look this all up yourself directly online and look at Australian business bankruptcies. Let's have a look at the 25-year figure. So it rose up a little bit there leading into the GFC. And by the way, this does have periodic type data entered into it. It dropped down there quite significantly during the COVID years. And then it shot up again here, mainly because in Australia there was provisions to trade basically whether you had in some kind of an insolvency area, and there was also leniency on tax debt and so forth. But since those provisions have been taken away, that's where some of these bankruptcies may be indicating that. However, it's not outside of the statistical average, which is, by all counts, relatively low. So, having a look at these stats, this doesn't indicate that 90% of businesses fail or any of those other false economy statistics that you often hear at business seminars. So, it's worth your while taking this into account and not to get carried away. Yeah, so the next time someone actually says to you, hey, your business is probably going to be one of the 9 out of 10 businesses that fail in 5 years or some other rubbish like that, don't listen to them. Sure, take the usual precautions that you do with your business. Don't be blind to risk. But on the other hand, don't cave into this kind of thinking out there that says that everything's going to fail and it's going to be a bad failure. That's not the case. In some cases, different types of failures with product launches or other different things like that doesn't mean your entire business is bad or that things are going necessarily wrong. You will need to learn from what's happening in your business in order to steer your business. However, don't fall for these terrible myths that are out there. Okay, if you like this content, please look at some of these videos that I've got up here that will actually help you with improving your business and also bringing you in many new customers. This is David Newton speaking. I look forward to seeing you on our next video, and we have got some exciting different videos coming up in the near future. Bye for now.